Welcome to CatKast episode 2. We don't have any fancy music intro, but we can imagine it was cool. Today, for episode 2, we're going to focus on season review. We're going to go over the Power 5 women's basketball tournaments, mostly focusing on the Big 12. Some questions from our listeners over at GoPowerCat.com. We're also going to go over scenarios for tournament seeding, especially for K-State, where everything lays going into the tournament season and all of that. So let's get into it. So to start off the season review, I need to bring up the fact that 3 Wildcats were named to all Big 12 teams. Starting off with Gabby Gregory, who was a preseason all Big 12 pick, finished with honorable mentions, which kind of shows the respect she has within the Big 12 from coaches, media. She didn't have crazy numbers this season. They were expected to be lower because of the return of Aoka, but how much she means to the team and she's loved by this team. The fact that she got honorable mentions was a very cool award, even for her, even though she probably had higher expectations this season. Next would be Serena Sundell. I am over the moon that she finally got some recognition. Serena Sundell was named first team All Big 12 for the first time in her career after being honorable mention her freshman and sophomore year. That's big for Serena, and it's rightfully deserved. She's one of my favorite players. I've said it before, to watch on this K-State team. I think Serena is an elite guard who could do everything. Um, she also is a bully, I learned. I recently they do a player MIDI podcast where it's all the players. So I went over there to see what was going on. And she was asked if you had to bring 2 people with you, if there is a zombie apocalypse, who would you pick? She said Jalen, but then she said Gabby because Gabby is old and Gabby might have some tools. Bringing up the fact Gabby was born in the 1900s. That one hurt a little bit, because me and Gabby she's like a few months younger than me. But yeah, that one hurt. But Serena deserved it. Her numbers this year are incredible all around. She's had multiple 10 assist games. She had 20-point games. She's great rebounder of the ball. She's had a few games where you're like, what the hell are you doing, Serena? But overall, she's been a very solid point guard, and I am so excited to see not just this off season, but going into next season, whether they have who or not. Um, I really think that she is a elite point guard that next season could be an All-American caliber point guard, especially with some of the names leaving Caitlin Clark this coming off season. But we'll have to see. And then last but not least, the least shocking to me, Aoka Lee was named first team All Big 12 unanimous selection, as well as, for the 4th time in her career, she was All Big 12 first team. That's crazy already. And then she was her second All Big 12 defensive team nod, which is incredible. I think she would have been closer to the player of the year, but the injuries and the late season kind of team fumbling, I see why she didn't. I think if she was healthy the whole season, she would have been in contention, but that's okay. Nothing needs to be said about Aoka. We see it every game. Even in that last game against Tech, where she had 10 points and 6 rebounds, I mean, she only played 20 minutes, which was good because it gave other players time to play. But we know her importance. She can go for 30-plus points. She can go get 12 rebounds. She can get 7, 8 blocks. She's going to be vital, especially this March, shockingly. Then I'm going to talk about who ranted on Twitter about a little bit. Jalen Glenn did not even get All Big 12 defensive team, which blew my mind. I was fine with J.J. Quinterly of West Virginia winning Defensive Player of the Year. But the fact that Jalen didn't even get Defensive Team of the Year is shocking to me. She's one of the best on-ball defenders I've ever seen at the college level. She's top 2 in the conference in steals and in opponent field goal I mean, she just statistically, every defensive stat, she's top 5 in the conference. Yet she got left off. I'm not really sure what they were looking at, but Jalen should have definitely at least received a nod there. I don't get it. I think the Big 12, I don't know who they have to choose these awards, but I'm not sure they watched much. That's just the K State Awards. Let's go look at the awards in general, not just K State. Well, starting off, let's see here. We got co-players of the year. We didn't get just one. We got Skylar Vann of Oklahoma and Madison Booker of Texas. Not much complaints for me. Madison Booker maybe didn't deserve co-player of the year. I think Skylar Vann was on a different level for Oklahoma this year. I mean, that's why they won the freaking conference. Um, Madison Booker's only a freshman, by the way, which she also won freshman of the year. Statistically, no, she shouldn't have. It should have been Audie Crooks of Iowa State. Madison Booker's just a more complete player, I guess. They like her more as a player instead of just a post, which I kind of don't like that they did that. Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Quinterly of West Virginia. K-State fans saw how annoying she is when they played in Manhattan. She's very, 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 very good. Pest on defense. I mean, I think she leads the nation in steals per game. I'm not upset about that. I'm more upset about just the team in general. And then we go to freshman of the year, Madison Booker. Like I was just saying, she was co-player of the year. The only gripe I have is statistically, I think it should have gone to Audie Crooks. But Madison Booker, I guess, is an all-around player. Does more than just play the post. And then the newcomer of the year, Peyton Verhulst. I always say her name weird. Of Oklahoma, a great player. Actually played in, I want to say Bishop Miege, maybe. I can't remember. Somewhere in Kansas. Deserved. I have no issues with it. She's an elite player off the bench. Great 3-point shooter. Sixth player of the year goes to Deanna Gaston in Texas. I don't remember what the requirements are for this year, but Gaston started some games this season, but I don't think it's like you have to play off the bench every game. Good player. I kind of agree. I kind of don't. There's a lot of great bench players in the Big 12, so I don't think she doesn't deserve it, but I think there are other players that do. Coach of the year goes to Jenny Baransiski. I always say her name wrong. Oklahoma's head coach. No complaints. After the rough non-conference they had to go win the conference by 2 games, it's pretty dang impressive. All first big team. Unanimous selections were Audie Crooks, Aoka Lee, Skylar Vann, Madison Booker. No complaints. I think all those players deserve it. Audie Crooks was unreal for a freshman at Iowa State. People want to say her size. Yes, her size helps, but she's very good at manipulating the paint already. Aoka, what do you want me to say? Probably arguably the best player to ever play basketball at Kansas State. Skylar Vann, like I said earlier, deserved player of the year. She was unreal. She's clutch. I've never seen a player hit so many clutch threes and clutch. She deserves it 100%. Especially after being 6th. That's a huge credit to her. She was 6th player of the year, I think the last 2 seasons. And now she's won player of the year. That's very, very impressive. It's good to see from her. Madison Booker, freshman, great player, all around, can do everything. I think she scored a team high against K-State in Manhattan. Great player. Then the non-unanimous, Lauren Gustin at BYU. This is the only newcomer to the conference to receive a first team nod. Deserved. I've never seen a player post double doubles in almost every game just so nonchalantly. She is incredible. I could watch her play basketball all day. She is fun to watch. If you like hard-nosed basketball, like how Gabby plays, watch BYU in the tournament. Lauren Gustin is so fun to watch. She can score. If she gets the ball in the... And she's not, like, tall. She's not like an Aoka Lee or Audie Crooks who's 6'5", 6'6". I think she's 6'1". But, God, she can work the paint. Fun to watch. I love Lauren Gustin to BYU. She is incredible. The next one, Tiana Jackson. Yeah, of KU. I agree 100%. She's a very good center. I'm glad the Big 12 voters realized their mistake from the preseason poll, not making Aoka unanimous while Tiana was. No, Tiana wasn't, but that was the reason Aoka wasn't. But Tiana is a very good center. We saw it in Lawrence. She's very physical. She's great size. No complaints on that one. I think she's very talented. Next one is Samia Nichols of KU. This is the one I kind of have a little bit of. This should have been someone else. She's a very good player. Not gonna be wrong. Samia, she was great against us in Lawrence. She's a great player. She's a great young player. But I really think Caitlin Peterson from UCF should have gotten a first team nod. I think she was third in the conference in scoring this season. Uh, on a pretty meh UCF team, she was very, very good, Caitlin Peterson. But they gave it to Samia. I she's a good player, but I just don't think she was the right pick there. But it is what it is. Sixth player of the year, Peyton Verhulst. Like I said earlier, she got first team. Good for her. Kansas native. She's not the only Kansas native we're going to talk about on this list, and we'll talk about it a little later about Kansas and Kansas players. Um, and then lastly, JJ Quinterly. No complaints for me. Um, in my preseason preview, I talked about if you want a team that's going to finish a lot higher than they were predicted, I said West Virginia, and they were really good this year. They fell apart a little bit at the end, but I mean, they were the only other team besides K State to beat Oklahoma. They're very talented, and it's a lot of JJ. She's a very impressive guard, and I like her a lot. Second team, Sarah Andrews Baylor. That's another player that could have easily been first team, I think, over Samia. She's a great guard. I mean, Baylor had a rough year for Baylor standards, but very good guard. I like her a lot. And then Caitlin Peterson, who I've already talked about. Yes, I think she should have been first team All Big 12 over Samia. Um, Madison Connor at TCU, good player, got hurt a little bit. I think that's a fair. Aaliyah Moore, Texas. This one's weird to me too. I almost would have gone with Taylor Jones of Texas there, actually, but they went with Aaliyah. And then Jordan Harrison of West Virginia, another good pick, good guard. I not a lot in the honorable mentions I want to talk about. The only few that I think should have been maybe given a second team nod or something is Addie Brown of Iowa State from Derby, Kansas. Very impressive this year. She killed K State in Manhattan. Gabby, like we said earlier, but I think that's all right. Nevaeh Tot of Oklahoma, I think could have gotten the second team nod. Also, Anna Gret Assey of Oklahoma State. I think Assey's a very underrated guard. I like her play style a lot. Sidonia Prince. I really think if she was healthy, she would have been probably first team. I think Sidonia is a great center, and it sucks that her season was so cut short. And then the only other one maybe is, like I said, Taylor Jones earlier, Bailey Maupin of Tech, but not a lot other ones. All defensive team, Tiana Jackson. Yeah, makes sense. Aoka Lee. Yeah, makes sense. This is where I think they got it wrong. Shea Holly is a great defender for Texas. She was great in the game in Austin against K State. My one issue is how is Jalen Glenn not on this damn list? 2 years in a row she has been robbed. She should have been on this list, no questions asked. But what do I know? I just sit here and rant. Jordan Harrison, West Virginia. Okay. They have one of the best defenses in the conference. I mean, yeah. And then JJ Quinterly, who defense player of the year, which fair. All freshman team. You got the duo out of Iowa State. I agree with Addie Brown and Audie Crooks have been incredible this season. I think they're dangerous. I think no team's going to want to see them in their region come NCAA tournament time because if these freshmen get going, good luck. I mean, they're very talented. Tamia Nichols, Kansas. I mean, yeah, I've talked about her. Staley Hurd out of Oklahoma State. That's good to see. I like her a lot. And Madison Booker, who was Big 12 Player of the Year, co-player of the year. I don't genuinely Sometimes these awards are awful. They did pretty good this year. Like I said, my biggest gripe is 100% Jalen Glenn for the second year in a row getting robbed. I think, if anything, these awards are a little biased towards teams that finish higher, but that makes sense. I mean, it is a team sport, but it's individuals. The Caitlin Peterson thing, I think Caitlin should have been a first team All Big 12. Um, what she did this year for UCF, I mean, if UCF doesn't have her, they would have been awful. But for the awards, that makes sense. And then three Wildcats making it's cool. Aoka's unreal. I need to go look how many times a player has been four-time. The only one I can think of top ahead is Brittany Griner. What Aoka's done is incredible. I'm so happy Serena finally gets some recognition. First team All Big 12. She 100% deserves it. She took control of this team when Aoka was gone. She never let up when Aoka returned. She's been close to a triple-double a few times this season. She's just an incredible point guard who deserves it. Other Wildcats that maybe deserved an award, I mean, the freshman team is stacked. I mean, it's hard to really put anyone there. You could say Ziana maybe is like the sixth team for all freshmen, 6-player all team freshman team. Ziana's had a good year. Taryn's starting to get it going. Let's actually just jump in here to the team in general going into the postseason. Like I said, I went to the player radio show and saw the players and stuff. They're all seem very good spirits. Like I said earlier, the consensus is Gabby's old, which was a common theme. Taryn and Serena roasted her relentlessly about being old. But the team was in good spirits. Everyone was there. I can tell you one thing. When Amani came in, you can tell she must have been sick. She's lost some weight. So I think they're being cautious with her because I don't know how much weight she's lost, but she's gotten skinnier. I don't know what she had or what it was, but she's looking better. She was in great spirits. She was great. The fans loved her afterwards. They had 7 players speak. I'm trying to remember in order here. They started off with Gabby, which was emotional, kind of. She was just very grateful. She said she was great. She actually felt good shooting the ball at Oklahoma. Nope, at Texas Tech. Sorry, in the Texas Tech game. She says the first time this season she really felt like she was comfortable shooting the ball, which stems from injuries and confidence, which is a good sign for K-State. She made 3 threes on 6 attempts, which is just a great sign for the Wildcats going forward. After Gabby, it was Ziana. Ziana talked. Let me go back to Gabby real quick. Gabby mentioned how she loved K-State and that it's her first home. She said people in Norman kind of really didn't care. You wouldn't go out in public in Norman and people would realize you. She says here in Manhattan, she loves that she'll go out to dinner and people will be like, great game or whatever. She's very, very emotional talking about Manhattan, which was cool to see that she transferred from her home state team in Oklahoma, but genuinely loves K-State more than anything. Next was Ziana. Not a lot about Ziana. Says she's been working a lot on her defense, which we can see. I mean, she locked up Caitlin Clark in Iowa City in her third game as a Wildcat. She's starting to come around to her role, she said, as well. She's becoming more of like fitting into her role, not being the star player like she was in Kansas, where she went to high school in Wichita area. she was she was excited. She didn't have anything crazy to say that comes to mind. And then after Ziana, it was crap. Who was it? I want to say it was Briley. Briley was her normal self. Uh, the louder of the two twins. She didn't say anything crazy. She just talked about how she's loved playing with her sister, and like Serena's like their third sister because they grew up so close together, playing against each other. She was excited to get going. She kind of brought up the fact that she's had less minutes this year, but she's completely loved her role in the team. Next was Jalen. Jalen was more talkative than you usually see her. She was just like the rest of the team, very excited to get going. She said it was feels like almost like a new season. Everyone's 0-0. You lose, you're done. You can't make up for this mistake later in the season. It's go time. After her was the GOAT. It was Yoki. The one thing I got from Yoki's interview is she really doesn't know what she wants to do. She said it herself. She said she really doesn't know herself yet what she wants to do. She says she's very, like, if she gets her mindset on one thing, she'll just go with it. So that's why she's taking it slow. She's not the only player in the country who's doing this. Brinks it at Stanford, Angela Reese at LSU. But she was very adamant on she's just going to take her time, play the season. Her decision doesn't matter right now. She also said she was an 8 out of 10 on her health, how she feels playing right now. An 8 out of 10. She also pointed out the fact that no one's ever a 10. So she's getting there. She's almost back to her, we'll say 99%. Especially with the rest of this week off, hopefully she can get there. I think she'll be ready to go come Big 12 tournament time, and more importantly, NCAA tournament time. After Ayoka, it was Serena. Serena, the dry humor. I love Serena's dry. If you ever meet Serena, she even said it in the radio show. She brought up the fact that when freshmen came, like Amani and Ziana came, they did not know Serena was joking half the time, and it scared them because she's such dry. Her humor is so dry, but I think it's so funny. She was like, she's the one that roasted Gabby first, but Serena was in good spirits. They hadn't known yet about the awards. Came out the day after, but Serena was ready to go. She said she's finding her rhythm again with Ayoka back, which is important. And she brought that up. She brought up the fact that part of the struggle with Ayoka coming back is like they just completely changed their offense for a whole month, and it's like, oh, we got to go back. But they're ready. The last player that spoke was Taryn. Loved Taryn. She was great. Made me feel old by calling Gabby old because we were born in the 1900s. Taryn said how much she loved it here. Oh, I forgot my favorite speaker. Rebecca Dollinger spoke as well. Her mom was here all the way from Australia. Hearing how she says "dear" made my day. She goes "dare." But Rebecca's funny as hell. Great player, great person. I know she doesn't play a lot, but what an incredible person. We're so lucky to have her at K-State. I don't know what she'll do after college, but I hope she stays around because we are so lucky to have players like Rebecca at K-State. She's just the perfect person. The vibes are immaculate. Everyone loves her. I'm so happy that she came here. It's not easy going from Australia to Montana to Kansas, but she's done it. She's loved everywhere she goes, and I'm glad she came. Outside of that, at the radio show, not a lot. The team was ready to go, even though they don't play till Saturday at 8 p.m., which I'm excited to be attending, and then hopefully be attending a few more games this weekend. But we'll see. Speaking of that, let's go into conference tournaments. We're gonna kind of speed through the other four major Power Five conferences, and we'll take a longer look at the Big 12. But we are going to start with the ACC. ACC this year, top to bottom, pretty meh. I don't think it's a great conference, top to bottom. It's bound to happen, especially when you have a 15-team conference. Teams, top four seeds: Virginia Tech, NC State, Syracuse, Notre Dame. All good teams. The heavy favorites, without a doubt, are Virginia Tech and NC State. Um, I think I think NC State's my favorite to win it. I think Virginia Tech can. Notre Dame's a sleeper. It's going to depend a lot on their freshman star. If she can step up and play well, they could surprise Virginia Tech in the semis. If you want a lower seed, I'm stuck between two here. Number 8 seed North Carolina, K-State beat in the Florida tournament. They're very good defensively. If they can shut teams down, they have a chance. The other one I'm looking at is number 7, Duke. Duke is a very solid team that's kind of struggled down the stretch, but when they put it together, they are very good. But their championship game will be Sunday, March 10th at 1 p.m. on ESPN. If final prediction, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech versus NC State, and give me NC State. I really like the Wolfpack. I think if you like the way K-State plays, watch NC State. I think they're a very fun team to watch. Next up is the Pac-12 tournament. This tournament is stacked, and I mean stacked. Almost all these teams have impressive wins this season, all the way through the 12th seed in Oregon. You have four, I can't count. You have a few new Big 12 comers. You have 7 seed Arizona joining the Big 12, number 11 seed Arizona State, and number 5 seed Colorado joining the Big 12 this next year. Where's Utah? Utah's the 6th seed. Sorry. This is a hard tournament to predict. I do not know. You look at this tournament and it's like, okay, all these teams have beaten each other. I mean, Oregon State's beat Stanford, and then Washington's beat USC. The top 4 seeds are Stanford at 1, 2 is USC, 3 is UCLA, 4 is Oregon State. I do not know. In the Colorado at the 5 seeds is just as dangerous. I mean, they were ranked, I think, as high as number 3 this season. Arizona's been dangerous. Utah has been very good. That's a team you could see. They flip-flop with K-State a lot in bracketology with the 4 and 5. If you want a team that K-State could be facing around the 32 at the current moment, it's Utah. In this tournament, I'm going to take, in the championship game, I'm going to take Oregon State. No, give me Stanford and give me Utah. The 1 seed versus the 6 seed. I really like Utah. I think they're a very good team, top to bottom. If they can just hit some threes, they'll be dangerous. I think they've beaten UCLA maybe both times this season. USC is very, very relied on their freshman Juju. But if she has an off game, they could lose in the first game against Arizona. So, and then in the championship game, give me Stanford. I think Stanford's so good. I think Brinks is the best center in the country because Aoka's been hurt, but I like Stanford a lot. But don't be. I think any of the top 7 seeds could win this tournament. Arizona could make a run. Utah could. Colorado could. Oregon State, Stanford, USC, UCLA. That's a fun tournament to watch. And their championship game is on March 10th, which I believe is a Sunday, at 4 p.m. on ESPN. Next, we have the SEC. Top 4 seeds, no shocker here. 1 seed, South Carolina. 4 seed, Alabama. 3 seed, Ole Miss. 2 seed, LSU. Very top-heavy conference. Tennessee's the 5. But outside of those top four, I don't really see a team that can make a run. Um, Missouri finished dead last in the SEC, so it makes sense why K-State beat them so bad. I mean, the obvious pick is South Carolina. You can track that as the champion. They're undefeated. I don't think anyone's going to touch them. But the only other LSU is going to be dangerous, like always. Haley Van Lith, Angel Reese, they're going to be dangerous. Outside of those two, Ole Miss or Alabama, if Alabama can hit the three, maybe Alabama has a chance. Ole Miss, I don't think so. There's just not. It's such a top heavy conference. In the championship game, give me South Carolina, LSU. Game of the year possibly, but South Carolina is going to easily, I think, walk through the SEC tournament. Next is arguably my favorite right now to talk about, is the Big Ten tournament. Very evenly distributed. They're a little top heavy too, but I really like the depth in this conference. So, to many people's shock, Iowa did not win the Big Ten this year. They finished in second. The one seed is Ohio State, who's another surprisingly good team. Number 2, Iowa. Number 3, Indiana. Number 4, Michigan State. I I know people aren't gonna like this, but I think Iowa is gonna win this. Iowa beat Ohio State on Senior Day a few days ago. Um, Michigan State, I think it's going to come down to Ohio State, Iowa, and Indiana. Indiana showed they can play well. They haven't played well against the top two, but I think Indiana is a very solid team. I just don't see Caitlin Clark going out without winning the Big Ten title game. So Ohio State's been very good this year. I think it's going to be Ohio State, Iowa in the final. But I just don't see Caitlin Clark losing a championship game right now. So I think Iowa's going to win this. Don't be shocked, though, if a team like Nebraska makes it all the way to the championship game. They're the 5 seed. I could very easily see them beating Michigan State. And then if they can pull the upset against Ohio State, they're there. But that's my Big Ten. So those are the other 4. Let's get into the holy grail here. The Big 12 women's basketball tournament in Kansas City. I will be attending. So if you are there as well and you find me, please say hi. But it starts on Thursday night. I should say I will not be there till Saturday. But it starts Thursday night with 2 playing games. Between the 11 seed Cincinnati, number 14 seed UCF, and number 13 seed Houston, and number 12 seed Texas Tech. So the first game is the Houston Tech game. Tech hasn't won a game since January. I just, after watching them play K-State, I mean, they got Maupin and Shevers. I can't pick them confidently. I think Houston's going to win that game. It might be close. It's a fun game for the first game of the tournament, but I think Houston's going to step away to play Baylor the next morning. And then we go to a game that does pretty closely affect K-State. We have number 14 UCF versus number 11 seed Cincinnati. This game's actually, I think, very good. I think it's a very good matchup. If you hear me clicking here, I'm actually going to pull up the results right now of their matchups this year. This doesn't help me, but I think the reason I like this game a lot. Okay, so UCF won their only matchup, 60-57. It's gonna be very similar. UCF doesn't really have like that one go-to player. They have some good players, but like Caitlin Peterson for UCF. If UCF wins this game as the 14th seed, I'm putting West Virginia on upset alert in the second round. Like I said earlier in the podcast, I think Caitlin Peterson should have been first team all Big 12. She's that legit. If she can get going, I think he'll get past Cincinnati. So I'm actually going to take both upsets in the first opening games. I'm going to take 13 seed Houston. I'm We're going to take 14 seed UCF. Then we go to Friday. This is where the Big 12 season or the Big 12 conference ramps up. First game at 11 a.m. that morning will be the Houston Cougars versus the Baylor Bears at the 5 seed. I just don't see any way Houston wins that. Give me Baylor. I think Baylor's guard play is too dominant. I just don't see Houston really having a chance. Then the next game, TCU OSU. 9 seed TCU versus the 8 seed Oklahoma State. This is an intriguing matchup. TCU starting to get healthy again, and Oklahoma State's kind of been struggling a little bit. I really like TCU's chances now that they're getting healthy. Oklahoma State has some good players like Aussie, but I love Emily Ryan. I hate what happened to her at K-State this year. But I just don't. With TCU getting healthy, I think they're going to be able to handle Oklahoma State. So give me TCU in that one. Then we go to game 5. I'm losing my mind. 10 seed BYU versus 7 seed Kansas. Like I said earlier, I love Gustins. I could watch her play all day versus BYU. I say KU's too much. I think with their post presence and their guard play, it's going to be too much for Gustins to carry BYU. So give me KU. And then we have UCF in West Virginia. Now, like I said not too long ago, I could see UCF putting West Virginia on a little bit of an upset watch. I like Caitlin Peterson a lot, and if she gets going, it's going to be elite. If UCF makes that game, JJ Quinterly versus Caitlin Peterson will be one of the most fun matchups to watch in this conference tournament. And that might be the deciding factor. West Virginia can put up a lot of points, but they usually don't. They usually rely on their defense and turnovers. And all it takes is for UCF to take care of the ball and Caitlin Peterson to hit some shots, and they could get past West Virginia. I'm still going to stick with West Virginia. I just think that's a tall task for UCF. But if there's going to be a big upset, UCF at the 14 seed getting past West Virginia in the second round. And then we go to day 3 or Saturday, and this is where the top 4 seeds enter. We'll go through by seeding. We'll start at number 4 seed with Iowa State playing Baylor. For K-State's sake, I hope Baylor wins because we can't beat Iowa State in anything apparently. But with the freshman play, I worry about how they'll feel or if they're going to be worried at all. And Baylor has some good experience. Little Page, Andrews. I think Baylor with their experience and they can kind of match Iowa State. I really think Baylor wins this. I don't think Iowa State is going to be able to handle the stress of postseason play as well. But don't get me wrong, Audie Crooks and Addie Brown are incredible players, but I think Baylor can handle Iowa State. I think Baylor just had some rough games. They've lost close games. But I think Baylor pulls it out, figures it out, gets to semifinals. Oklahoma versus TCU. This game actually does intrigue me a little bit. Like I said, TCU's getting healthy. Oklahoma might be a little overconfident. They haven't been this season. They've played really composed. I still think Oklahoma wins this, but I think it might be closer than people think. I think TCU could put up a real fight, especially if they get minutes to recovering players, Sidonia and William. I really think they could shock a few teams, but give me Oklahoma. Then we have KU versus. Oh, sorry, we're going in order. I just kind of screwed that up anyway. So number 2 seed Texas versus number 7 seed KU. KU's been hot. KU has. I said earlier that Oklahoma lost to KU in the last game of the season. KU's been hot. They're probably the hottest team right now in the Big 12. After beating K-State, they beat Oklahoma. I just don't think they can get over Texas. I think Texas has way too many athletes for KU to compete. Texas is a good team. I just that's another one to watch. I think it'll be a really good game. KU Texas, but I think Texas pulls it out. I think they're just a better all around team. Then we're gonna go to the K-State versus West Virginia. Um, I like the Wildcats here. They won the only matchup in overtime in Manhattan, where Aoka Lee just was like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm back." I think with Aoka fully healthy, I think the Wildcats will be better prepared for JJ. Like also at the radio show, they brought up the fact they were practicing a lot of breaking the press, how to play against the press, which is good. Good for the Wildcats because they know West Virginia is more than likely going to be their opponent. So I think they're going to be more ready this time. You've had over a week to prepare. Everyone's healthy again. I still think K-State takes this. It'll be a close game though. I think West Virginia is a good team, and the Wildcats know that more this time. But I still think K-State wins. So semifinals, I got Oklahoma versus Baylor. You want my honest opinion? I don't know why. This whole season, I watch Oklahoma. I'm like, man, they're not that good, but they kept winning. So I'm gonna quit doubting them. I always kept thinking they're gonna fall apart at some point. Oklahoma to the championship game. Baylor's good. The semifinal, I think quarterfinals on are going to be incredible games, no matter which game you watch. But give me Oklahoma. I'm not going to doubt them anymore. Give me the Sooners. I think they take care of Baylor. Todd, I don't think Andrews can save them. Nevaeh Todd, Skylar Van, I just don't see Baylor getting past that. So give me Oklahoma. And then what I think will be the game of the tournament. Number 3 seed Kansas State versus number 2 seed Texas. In the first game in Manhattan, Aoka Lee killed Texas in the paint, both offensive and defensively. It just destroyed Texas. They didn't know what to do. The Wildcats end up winning that. And then you go to Austin without Aoka Lee, and the Wildcats still put up a really good fight. They were down a lot, but in the fourth quarter, they clawed back and were within 3 close to the end of the game, and I think they were down 17 at one point. With Aoka Lee back, I really kind of like the Wildcats here. If you turn Texas one-dimensional and they can't use the post, they are not a good team. You look at who they lost to this season, that's exactly what Oklahoma did. I mean, that's what K-State did in Manhattan. I really like the Wildcats against Texas. Now, am I saying K-State wins this every time? No. I think K-State wins this 55 out of 40. If they play 100 games, K-State wins 55, Texas wins 45. It's very close. And Texas is a very good team. But I think with Aoka Lee back, and we saw what happened when Aoka played in that first matchup in Manhattan, I like the Wildcats. I think K-State takes care of Texas. And Big 12 championship game against Oklahoma. Oklahoma has 3 Big 12 losses this year. At Manhattan, at Lawrence, and at West Virginia. I think K-State gets it done. Like I said, they don't play well in the state of Kansas. I know this is in Missouri, but we're going to call it Kansas. I just don't think the Wildcats are going to get the championship game to fall. After a season where it looked like they were going to win it all to Aoka's injury, I just don't think this team is the way they looked and sounded at the radio show. They're motivated and they want to win the damn thing. They're not here to just make the championship game. I think Oklahoma is beatable. I think the Wildcats have the key to beat Oklahoma. The second time when they played in Norman, I think it was a 3-point loss without Aoka. I think with Aoka, they would have won that game by 10 plus. Give me K-State winning the Big 12 tournament. I'm probably a little biased, shockingly, but I think K-State can win this whole thing. I think they got a very favorable bracket. You look at the teams in their region. They beat UCF twice, beat Cincy, beat West Virginia the one time, split with KU, beat BYU, split with Texas. I just think you avoided Iowa State, which scares you, and you don't see Oklahoma until the championship game. I really like this bracket for K-State, and I really think K-State will have a good chance of winning the championship. But we'll have to wait and see as that starts Thursday night at 5:30 with the Houston Tech game. It will conclude on Monday at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. Um, Outside of that, we'll quickly look at bracketology here. And what needs to happen. Let me pull that up since I'm just doing this all in one audio file here, so I don't have to cut as much. So we're just gonna look at ESPN's bracketology right now. When did he last update this? 3-4. So on Monday. It's Wednesday right now. Um, Let me find this real quick. Where's K-State? Boop, 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 boop. Here we are. So as of now, he has K-State as the top 5 seed, but they will travel to Boulder to take on South Dakota State. I like South Dakota State, good women's basketball program, but I I actually I know we want to host, which I really hope we do. I think we absolutely will if we win the tournament. I think K State can host with. I mean, with how women's basketball has been this year, I can't tell you who or what or who's. There's been so many upsets. I don't know. Just win. If you just win, you'll get it. There's been so many upsets. The 4 seeds ahead of K State: Colorado, Gonzaga, Notre Dame, and Indiana. Good news, Notre Dame I think will lose really early in the ACC tournament. That'll be a big boost for K-State. How the hell? Sorry, I just saw this. How is Oklahoma a 5 seed? That's wild. But Indiana, like I said earlier, could be upset in the Big Ten tournament. Um, I actually really like K-State's region that he has them in. The 1 seed's Ohio State, which I think K-State could easily take care of. And then the 2 seeds Texas, NC State, very similar play style to K-State, and then Colorado at the 4, I think is beatable. I actually kind of like this region, but I'd rather have K-State host. So here's what to watch for come tournament games. Notre Dame to lose early. Notre Dame loses early in the conference tournament. Bingo. K-State has their way to sneak in and get a hosting spot. The other one, Indiana. They've been hot and cold. If they lose early to a low seed in the Big Ten tournament, that's good. K-State will jump. Gonzaga has to win their tournament. If Gonzaga loses any point during their conference tournament, they will drop off the 4 line. That conference is bad. So that's another way. If Gonzaga drops anything in the West Coast Conference championship, they're not going to be a 4 seed. And then 3 seeds to watch. A lot of Pac-12. Not Pac-12. Yeah, Pac-12. Sorry. UConn. If UConn suffers a first round loss to Villanova or something, they might get kicked all the way to a 5. But UConn's kind of the NCAA's little baby, so I don't know if they will. Virginia Tech's been struggling. Oregon State, I really like Oregon State. NC State, I mean, I can't tell you it's going to be crazy. The main thing is Gonzaga losing at all in their conference tournament. Colorado losing early. Indiana losing early, and more than likely Notre Dame losing early. If K-State goes and wins the freaking tournament, Big 12 tournament, it doesn't matter. They'll get a hosting. But if not, I like this region K-State's in. I think they could easily make a Final Four run in this region. You avoid teams like Iowa and South Carolina, LSU. So I like this region for K-State. So we'll see. Now it's time for our questions from our Go Power Cat board. I will start also asking on Twitter as well. So let's get going. From eHutch27, what's the future hope for the 3 seniors? Any chance for WNBA for Gabby? We'll start with Rebecca. I'm not sure what Rebecca will do after graduation. If she'll stay in state or whatever. I really hope she stays around the program in some capacity. She is 100% one of the greatest people you will ever meet. If you ever get the chance to even just say hi to her, say hi to her. She loves to talk. Great person. I really like Rebecca. I hope she doesn't want to coach. She could make an amazing teacher. there's so much Rebecca could do. I mean, just off the floor, she's such a great person. Brian, the color analyst for K State, like when you watch ESPN Plus, was the radio host. Rebecca goes to every single one of his daughters' like musical productions. She's just a great person. I hope Rebecca stays near Manhattan and continues to influence. She's such a great person, and I love Rebecca, and I hope Mitty finds a way to keep her around somehow. Then Gabby, WNBA. No. I shouldn't say no. She is a tough bitch. I mean that in the most sincere way. She is tough. Um, if she does, it's gonna be rough for her at first. If anyone could surprise me and do it, yeah, Gabby. But I could see her play internationally, but I could also see her just stepping away and just all. She's another player I could see. I could see her joining the coaching staff. A great player. She's a great coach. She's a great leader. But I don't think WNBA is going to be a viable option for her. She might try it, but her size and the way she plays doesn't fit in the modern game that well, which sucks because I love the way Gabby plays. But if anyone's going to shock me and do it, it's Gabby. I don't know. I think Gabby could if she really wanted to, but at the same time, I can see Gabby just saying, "Hey, you know what? That's it for me. I wrote my story in basketball, but I would love to see her join the coaching staff in some manner, anything like that." And then for Aoka, Aoka is currently projected around the second round pick in the WNBA draft. I really hope that's not the path she takes, but I also understand if it is. I think if she came back for another year and dominated, she'd be a top 10 pick, make a lot more money. But it's Aoka's choice. Aoka can do whatever the hell she wants. She's incredibly smart. She's a kind person. She's loved by everyone here. If she wants to come back another year, I get why she's overwhelmed and doesn't know what to pick because there's so much she could do. Um, we'll have to see. Aoka has the whole world in front of her right now. She's trying to figure out where. That's a tough decision for a young 20-year-old. We'll see with her after the tournament, but yeah. Next question comes from 3G Wildcat. What do they need to do in the Big 12 tournament this week to provide them the best chance in the NCAAs? Was really hoping for some home NCAA games in the late season before the losses. Yes. So I think if they make the championship game, yes, I think they will host. Like I said earlier, it's very tough to tell with the amount of upsets and stuff happening this year. If you want to feel good about K-State looking like they're going to host championship game, they don't have to win it, but make the championship game. If you beat Texas again, that's going to look really good on a resume. Throw in the fact that the AP and coaches poll both rank K-State at number 16, which would make them the last 4 seed. Sadly, neither of those polls have an impact on the committee. But in theory, the Wildcats are really like maybe one team out. They've just got a best one of those 4 seeds. You can't lose your first game. You have to beat West Virginia. If you beat West Virginia and Texas, yeah, you're easily in. You're easily a 4 seed. But if you want to feel comfortable going into Selection Sunday, that you're going to be a 4 seed, make the championship game. And you'll feel comfortable. Unless those 4 teams just make runs and win their conference. Otherwise, you feel comfortable making the championship game. Exhausted Nihilist. What are your expectations for Aoka Lee? How close to 100% do you think she'll be for the NCAA tourney tips off? Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier. At the player show, she said she's about an 8 out of 10 right now, but no one's ever actually a full 10 out of 10. So she's getting there. She's starting to feel a lot better. If assuming nothing crazy happens in the Big 12 tournament, you get another nice break. I think Aoka's going to be full speed come tournament time. Now, in the first game, let's say they play a crappy 13 seed, you might not see a lot of Aoka. But when it comes to the big game, I think she'll be as close to 100% as you can get her. She seemed good spirit. She seems ready to go. I think Aoka's ready to prove herself on the biggest stage. Next comes from Wildcat. What do you think of Lee's WNBA prognosis? She's got the injury, which surely isn't helping her fluidity on the court, but damn if she doesn't have some amazing hand touch, and you can't teach that in a 6'6" big. Yes, Aoka Lee is very special. People think she's purely good because of her height. No, that is so far from wrong. She is her hands, her touch, she's incredible anywhere in the paint. You can't teach that. Her paint awareness is unreal. It's just elite. WNBA prognosis. She doesn't fit the modern game as much, which is what I think also harms. Yes, her injuries, her long list of injuries makes teams kind of go, ooh, that's a risky pick. But her game doesn't fit as well in the modern NBA. You look at Brink out of Stanford. She is high on people's boards. She's a top 3 pick because she can play out on the perimeter as a center. Aoka doesn't do that. It doesn't fit the modern game as much, but I still think teams are going to look at her and go, that's worth a pick. Because if that works out, you have a post presence that is unmatched anywhere. I mean, yes, it might make your defense weird in some ways, but Aoka brings a presence in the post that no other player in the country brings. K-State could be down 40, and if you see Aoka coming in, you kind of breathe just a sigh of relief because you know that the paint is protected. You can't get past her. So I don't. As of now, like I said, she is projected around the second round draft pick, middle second round. I think that a lot comes with injury history. It's a risky pick. She doesn't fit the modern day WNBA, but teams are 100% willing to take a second round pick to take Aoka, and if she works out, it's going to look damn good because she is a special player. We see it every week in the Big 12. Our last question comes from Ohio Powercat. Shout out my dad's side's all from Ohio. In the Big 12 and NCAA tournament, do you think the women's basketball will look like the teams that didn't lose a game for over 2 months, or the team that ended the season with losses to Iowa State and KU? I actually really like this question. I think it's almost they're gonna look like a new team. I think we're going to see the dominant defenses again. The teams you're going to play in the NCAA tournament haven't played you this season. You don't have that common opponent. Teams are going to have a few days to look at you, and that's best. And we saw that with the men last year. It changes when you go from the Big 12 to the tournament. Teams don't know as much about you. They haven't played you. They haven't seen your players before. Even if you only play like West Virginia once this year, you played them last year too. And I think we'll see the team that dominates on defense and can control the game through their defense. It's the Iowa State and KU losses were unexcusable. I think those were the 2 worst coached midi games I've watched in a long time. I really think we'll see a new team. The Big 12 tournament, like I was saying with my point, is those teams have seen you. They know what to expect now. But you have a healthy Aoka Lee, which is a problem for any of these teams. I really think, especially in the tournament, I think K-State will surprise a lot of people. Teams aren't ready for it. You don't see the way K-State plays as much anymore. They're LSU, but with better post play, especially with Aoka. I really think K-State will be more like the team we didn't lose for 2 months. They're locked in. You ask any player on that team, they are locked the heck in. And we saw against Tech, and I know Tech isn't like a great team, but K-State could have played it close and struggled, but they dominated. They looked like the Wildcats of past, holding Tech to below 50 points. I think the Wildcats, if they have a good showing in the Big 12 tournament, which I believe they will, in the NCAA tournament, teams aren't going to be ready. It's going to be tough for teams. I mean, after the first round, you're going to have 2 days rest at most. And then guess what? You're playing K-State, one of the best defensive teams in the country statistically, with Aoka Lee. It's going to be a challenge for any team to deal with that. And I think that's what gives K-State such a big advantage is their defense. Teams aren't going to be ready for it. Big 12 teams have seen it. They kind of know what to expect. They know Jalen's going to be pesky. They know Aoka's not going to let anything inside the paint. But when these teams only have 2 days to go, okay, what is K-State? They won't have time to prepare. And I think K-State will have that advantage. And I'm excited for it. I think this team still has a lot in store before this season's over. But it all starts Saturday in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center. Because now I'm so glad they did that. It used to be in the municipals, but now the women get to play in the T-Mobile Center, which is exciting. I will be attending at least Saturday. I plan to go to the men's senior night. I'm still upset over last night. They played terrible against KU. But I will go to senior night, and then after that, I'll leave straight from there and go to Kansas City. Hopefully catch the end of the Texas KU game, Texas or KU BYU, and then be there for the women's game. I'm excited. This team has a special chance, and they know it, and I know they want it, but it all starts Saturday. Take care of Saturday. Just win. It's that simple. No one cares. It does not matter. You're not playing for a title where you lost 2 weeks ago, and that matters now. Just win. Win the damn game. It's that simple. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just win. That's all you have to do. I don't care if you do it by 1 point every game. Just win. And that's all that matters. And this team will do that, and I think it will prove a lot of people. They have struggled, and they all admitted they've been struggling. But I think this team's ready to do it. And why not now? This is one of the best teams to ever play at K-State, hands down. First team in NCAA history to ever in the women's basketball to start the season unranked and get as high as number 2. We know what they're capable of. They know what they're capable of. It's just putting it all back together, and I think they're ready to do that. So we will see, though, starting this weekend when the Wildcats travel to Kansas City to take on either West Virginia, BYU, or gosh dang it me, where the Cats will either take on UCF, Cincinnati, or West Virginia at 8 p.m. on Watch ESPN or ESPN Plus. That's going to do it all for me. We purely talked about basketball, but that's okay. It's that time of year. It is March Madness after all. We will do a bracket challenge when the tournament time comes. I will do another podcast as well. We'll kind of just do but we'll go through the NCAA tournament, talk about my picks, and we will do a little bracket challenge. I'll figure that out here when the brackets come out after the tournaments. But this is an exciting week of basketball. If you love the sport, just sit and watch women's basketball. There's a lot of great games. If Pac-12 tournament, ACC tournament's going to be fun. Big 12 tournament is going to be insanely fun. I am beyond excited for it. But until then, thank you for listening. I kind of switched it up and tried to just do it all in one instead of cutting everything. That is it. And I will be back at some point before the NCAA tournament. We'll talk more about it. And then after the NCAA tournament, we will talk again. And we'll kind of start a little what's coming up for K-State athletics, especially at the volleyball and women's basketball levels. But thank you so much for joining in for episode 2 of CatKast, and we will be back soon enough. And thank you so much. And most importantly, go Cats!